Hello to my earth signs Capricorn, Taurus and Virgo. Welcome to the Cancer full moon. You'll find the timestamps for your rising signs listed below. Hello Capricorn rising, welcome to your horoscope for the Cancer full moon of 2023, happening on December the 27th at 11:33 a.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So the evening of the 26th, awesome. The evening of the 27th, great. Just make sure you get out underneath that light of the full moon and cry your tears and give your thanks for those that you love and that you care for very sincerely. On your birth chart, Capricorn rising, Cancer rules the 7th house, which is where we come into relationship with other folks. It's the house of the other, as opposed to the first house, which is the house of ourselves. And Cancer is, like you, a cardinal sign, so that means that they initiate. And this time, it's water. It's our feelings, our emotions. Cancer is incredible at cutting to the quick of what we're feeling, how we're feeling. Cancer is the sign that is like, have you had dinner? What's going on? Perhaps in that way you can relate to the sign Cancer too, because this is probably the way that you give care as well. You show care for other folks in the style of our Cancerian friends. The full moon will be at 4 degrees of Cancer, so it's the beginning of Capricorn season. In fact, I'm filming these on the day of the entree into Capricorn season, so happy birthday coming up for all of those Capricorn suns. It's my birthday on the 16th of January. However, the card that we talk about for 4 degrees of Cancer is the 2 of Cups. So you can see what I'm getting at. There's an emphasis around here on like love and compassion, and kindness and nurturing. It would be really great for you, Capricorn rising, to look around the people that are existing in your lives, the ones that do see you for who you are, that do hold you to be valuable and lovable, and give them some great big blessings of gratitude. Give them some great big hugs if they're physically near you. That would be awesome. So the 27th is sort of like the time between sort of the holiday period and then the new year, right? There potentially may have been some more difficult conversations that arose over this time as well. I'm not a fortune teller for saying so. It's like, of course that it probably would be. This month is not always the easiest for many of us. I know I have incredibly wild feelings of uncomfortableness in December. I wish that I'm working on it, actually. I'm really working on it. And it changes and morphs as the years go by and as the work that I commit to develops as well. But it holds all sorts of ghosts for me. The holiday period does anyway. And I'm sure for you as well. So on that idea, let's have a look at your 4th house too, which is our home, our roots, our stability. Remember, this is Aries for you on your birth chart. And the dragon is there. And so there'll be eclipses in this house for you. We know that over 2024. Also, Chiron, which we spoke about last horoscope, will be stationing direct on the day of this full moon. So the moon is fullest at 11:33, and then Chiron will station direct at 2:10. So when anything moves or stations, either retrograde or direct in our galaxy, we do talk about it. I've had a look at the astrology for next year. I've been mapping it all out and sort of getting it all coordinated in my mind. And what I can see is that we actually will be working with Chiron quite a lot. In the first 6 months of next year in particular. There is a number of conjunctions with the dragon, which is unusual. The last time that the dragon was conjunct Chiron in Aries was 1969, I believe. So as you see, it doesn't happen all the time. So pivotal moments of like healing, individual healing in order to help the group and to look out and to engage in collective healing, hopefully. But on in a very personal level, your fourth house is your ancestry. So don't want to prod any soft spots or any bruises, but this reading might be coming to you in the off chance that there has been some more difficult conversations that have occurred in your blood family, as it were, or in the folks that raised you, or the blood family. It sounds strange, doesn't it? You know what I mean, though. It's a contemporary concept, but actually it's sort of maybe not in queer culture. Your family is who you can pick your family. You can pick them from the people in your life, the ones that show you love for who you are, that you don't have to edit or censor or be sorry for your nature. They're people that show valuable concern for you when the going gets tough, and that do materialize when that going is really tough, that won't shift or won't move, and that will probably even call you out when things are obvious to them that they're not right as well. That's true love, that's true commitment, that's grit in the loyalty of engaging in familial relationships. These relationships don't always exist in our blood family, and that's completely natural. So on that, there is something about healing in the ancestral world for you, Capricorn rising. There is something about perhaps looking at, and I'll tell you a story. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm very scatty at present. You forgive me, you'll go with me. I've been doing so much thinking about my grandparents and their lives and what the reality of them were like. I do not have tried and true close bonds with a lot of my family, including my grandparents. However, their humanity has really been visiting me over these last years. And I've been thinking what it must have been like to be a working class human being in the eras that they existed and that worked through. And that's not to discount any bad behavior or any negligence, but it's something that I feel kind of able to process at this point in my life. I feel able to look back and not feel that sort of personal pain of the neglect, you know. So perhaps in that way, Chiron is gesturing to you that over the next 6 months at least, there's going to be some major moments of healing opportunity and stuff that you don't actually have to do by yourself as well. It might be really great to buddy up with fellow fellow Chirons, fellow wounded healers. You can all get together and back each other up and help each other through this next bit of time. Yeah, it's nice. The sun is at 4 degrees of your sign, so for the next month or so, we'll be feeling that sort of attention on you, Capricorn rising. Doesn't matter when your birthday is. Remember, there's a difference between your sun sign and your rising sign. If the constellation was rising over the eastern horizon the moment you were born, if that constellation was Capricorn, then you're a Capricorn rising. And so that's who I'm kind of gearing these horoscopes to, just in terms of your house placements anyway. There's going to be maybe like a sort of reintroduction to your soul's mission at this time too. There might be a great time to review that and to think about, okay, so these are my strengths, these are my skills, this is what I think I'm here for. I'm going to move with that. I'm going to move forward with that. I'm going to get you some tarot as well, Capricorn rising. Yes. We'll see what else emerges. What a year. Like, I won't bore you with those kind of sentiments. And I feel the profundity of my privilege at this time too. I also feel, I feel that we've got a lot of great work to do together, Capricorn rising. I feel that if ever you get lonely on your quest, on your mission, I want you to remember why you're climbing up that mountain. If you've had a birth chart reading with me, you know why. To help us all out. Yeah. So deflect. Hateful words. Judgment. Bickering. Family drama. Where, like, actually, let's drop the chop. There is actually bigger fish to fry at this time. If you're going to spend this part of, if you're going to drag us all through this ceremony of like animosity, time and time and time again, like clockwork, every year we've got to listen to friggin' so-and-so rag on about so-and-so, and it's like, actually, can you just drop it? Can you like cast your gaze out a little further afield and look at the condition that we're in? Because the microcosm of your dynamics here in the way that you're operating in relationships is an emblem of what got humanity into the problems that it's in right now. Bigger, 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 bigger. Righteousness being fought for. You're a Capricorn rising, so you understand the sort of ascent up to the precipice, but it's not to lord over anybody. It's actually to share what you've found. And it's also the time to share what you've found. Okay, just to explain with the tarot, I've got the 9 of Wands and the 5 of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. So if you needed the tarot to follow you through with my description, but do you understand what I mean? It's sort of like there's a time and a place to listen to Auntie Betsy be effed off with Uncle Larry for whatever reason, but there's also a time in life where it's like, can you actually stop? Like, this is over. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this anymore. And you don't have to be so confrontational as well, Capricorn rising, FYI. Don't sort of engage in anything that you don't need to. But I want you to sort of like keep this like in your mind's eye, that you can actually just separate your energy from this stuff. Some people, they can't see past the end of their own nose. That's a line from Mary Poppins, and it will stay with you. It will stay with you because it's a really great description of how lost people can get in their own shit, that they can't cast their eye out further, or they can't show concern for what is going out in the world around them. They're put upon. They're the sort of sinkhole, the center of their own universe, that they refuse to look further afield. And that, for someone like you, with the compassion and the forthright sort of conviction of your work being of service to other folks, would have you feeling really upset, especially if it also on the back of is coming from an environment where you were just completely ignored in the first place as well, growing up. So at this full moon in Cancer, I want you to really name them, pinpoint them, text them, call them, have them over, hug them. Your chosen family, those is not just a queer sentiment. You don't have to be queer to identify with this, babe. You can pick your family. You can pick them, and you know which ones I'm talking about. Hold them close and grieve together if you need to. If the state of the world is really overwhelming you and you don't feel that you know quite what to do, grieve first, then you can roll up your sleeves together. 2024 is going to be a year of action for anyone that has their eye on trying to help and trying to be of service and trying to change the structures that are crumbling, yes, oppressing still. So hold the ones that you love close and tell them that you love them, and tell friggin' Larry and Betsy to stuff it up their jumper. I don't care about this drama anymore. Like, open your eyes. Open your eyes. Stop being so selfish. That's your reading, Capricorn rising, tra-la-la. Yeah, I'm Scatty Cathy today, but I'm rolling with my own tides. It's natural, it's perfectly normal. I love you. If you're still here with me, put a crab in the comments, please, in honor of Cancer, the Cancer full moon. And if you'd like me to read your birth charts, I can draw you one. They look like that. They're very beautiful, handmade. And I'll read it to you over Zoom and then put this in the post, and you'll receive it in the physical mail as well. So you can organize that at umaruby.com. That's my website. You can tip me at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. And you can also subscribe to this channel for 10 Australian dollars a month if you've got the money to do so. I'll be with you in the new year. And on the 11th of January, we'll be enjoying a brand new moon in Capricorn. So we'll be speaking about your soul's rising potential again. And we'll be making some wishes to that effect too. I love you, Capricorn rising. Keep your chin up. I'll speak to you soon. Hello, Taurus rising. Welcome to your horoscope, the last one of the year, for the Cancer full moon happening on December the 27th at 11:33 a.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So, congratulations for getting it over the line, Taurus rising. I'm really super proud of you. It has been a very difficult year. That's for darn sure, as I'm sure that you can attest. And we are in this together, and we are going to continue to be in this together. And I'm very grateful for your company. I'm very grateful that you're here with me at this time. Cancer is a sign that will have us really articulate and speak about our emotions. They're really unafraid to do so. Cancer is cardinal water, so initiation into our emotional ecosystems. The water signs always are kind of experts. Their speciality is our emotional selves. And so Cancer, being the sort of one leading that journey, is brave and unafraid to say what they feel. And we really are very grateful for our Cancerian friends, and we can identify them when fleshing out ourselves and looking at our full birth chart and seeing that Cancer too is a part of us. So this full moon is going to be really emotional. I know I say that a lot, but because this is a full moon in Cancer, it's kind of like there's no getting past it. The moon is the planet that rules the sign Cancer, which simply means it's the most help, and like it can exercise its privileges in Cancer like no other sign. Cancer is like, yes, babe, go, like heal, let's all feel it, let's feel it all. So there's no doubt going to be some big fat tears shed. Hopefully there's going to be some super big chats, deep chats that you can have about things like love and about things like how you hold affection for other people. I think that would be awesome for you. And it would be awesome for the moon and awesome for Cancer as well. When we look at the tarot, it's the Chariot that represents Cancer energy. And so all of that language around being unafraid and leading the charge and moving forward and activating, you can see that sort of materialized here in this image. I love to think of all of the different moon goddesses in many cultures from all over the planet, and there's often an image of the moon being dragged in by a silver chariot, you know. I think in the Greek it's Selene was the moon goddess, or sometimes it was Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, that was like the benefactor or the protector of the moon. There's there's so many different stories about the goddess and the moon, and the chariot, and the way that there is like a sort of fierceness, a ferocity, a fierceness to the moon. When we develop our relationship with the physicality, I mean, it's the planet that's closest to us, you know, it's the one that we're sort of most intimate with. It's the one that can really run us ragged as well. I think that every Taurus would be like, yeah, I love the moon though. The moon's very comfortable in Taurus. Also, Cancer, the sign, rules your third house, which in Hellenistic astrology was called the house of the goddess. So it would be awesome for you to get together with your friends, read each other's tarot. It'd be awesome for you to really commune with this moon, really feel its power with your little sect of babes, your friends that sort of are savvy to this language and appreciate it and really love it. The third house, as I said, in the grand tradition was called the house of the goddess. So I think about all the different ways that the goddess is worshipped and the goddess is revered, and what offerings we give out to the goddess and those sorts of things. In a really contemporary context, I always think of rock and roll. That's my goddess worship, and I've been doing it since I was a kid. I always think and go to and listen to sonically the music. I mean, that's just naturally who I'm down with. I often am much more moved by female vocalists. I don't think that I'm the only one, but there's no competition here, but it's just sort of like, that's, you know, and yeah, sorry, I just tripped myself up. It's different for everyone. However, as a contemporary witch, as a sort of, you know, modern day worshipper, I really have found it to be a really natural, easy way for me to commune with my goddesses, is to listen to music that makes me cry, or makes me, you know, powerful, makes me huge, makes me sexy, makes me hopeful, you know, makes me feel beautiful. That's how I sort of goddess worship. So that's a little invitation for you, Taurus rising. On the 27th of December, it might be nice to enact in a little goddess worship, and you can figure out your own definition for what that might mean. That's just some examples of how I have found that I worship the goddess. Tarot is definitely third house territory as well. So if you were really into this shit, if you have got your own deck and you're going to read for your friends and lovers, then do it on the 27th. That's the sort of like middling point. It's before we sort of go into 2024. It's kind of a really quiet week too, isn't it? There is something sort of lazy and sleepy and sort of solitary and undisturbed about the middle, you know, the week after the holiday period, but before New Year's. It's like, I'll just do nothing. Perfect time to worship your goddesses. Now, speaking of New Year's though, there might be something as well to have a little think about. Just by the by, I haven't told anybody else because it seems, I think that it's important for you to know that on the 31st of December, Jupiter will station direct in your sign. So they're sort of hovering at around 5 degrees of Taurus. They've been retrograde for 6 months. It's not unusual. But whenever a planet either stations direct or retrograde, we kind of talk about it. And Jupiter brings bounty and opportunity. So as much as there has been, you know, it's natural to sort of like chalk up your hopes and your dreams and your successes and your losses around this time of the year too. Hopefully you can sort of see that there's like so much to be grateful for and so much that you should be proud of yourself about. And Jupiter on New Year's Eve itself will probably be magnifying just how marvelous you are, Taurus rising. So allow yourself to feel that. You don't have to do anything other than be like, oh, it's New Year's. Gosh, I've done a good job. Gosh, I've tried my best. Gosh, I am committed to trying my best from now on. I'm not going to measure my success and how much that I have. It's difficult for a Taurus sometimes to not think about sort of, the material evidence of your own abundance, but I'm going to say it to you, Taurus rising. It doesn't matter. You got 2 cents in your account, you got 2 million. I don't care. Neither does the world around you. Neither does the spirit world. Neither does your soul. And so, yeah, I'll leave that with you, but that's not the measure in which you're going to, that's not the measuring stick that you're going to quantify your worth. Not at all. I'm going to get you some tarot. Who's your favorite artist? Oh, if you don't know as well, I make, and they're sort of like, they're always in progress, and I'm actually thinking about switching it out because I do know that Spotify is evil. I didn't realize. I thought we were doing the right thing by paying, pay for my Spotify subscription every month. But as far as like the artists benefit from that, I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not. I used to collect records. I used to buy hard copies in the old days, CDs, not records. I didn't have a record player. But I stopped doing that because digital came around, and I was like, oh, great, well, this is the new way that it's going. But I do know that it's sort of maybe not so good for everyone. So that was just a big, long way of saying I make Spotify playlists for every sign. So if you're wanting to listen to, for example, the Cancer playlist, as you do your goddess rituals, then I've got a Spotify account and I'm open to changing. I did just sign up for a free trial of Apple Music. They've tried to win me over with 3 free months. So I'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's long-winded. If you wanted to hear my music taste, you can find me on Spotify. It's the same name, Uma Ruby. And I do put out playlists that they're always moving and malleable. The Cancer one's really good. Actually, the Capricorn one's quite good too. This is lovely. This is lovely. This. Okay, get your facts straight, Kim. All of this contemplation and all of this kind of, maybe it's been a little bit melancholy as well at times, this, I know that feeling of, it's kind of like, okay, so put it in Winnie the Pooh terms, like no one wants to be Eeyore. And sometimes you feel that you're Eeyore and you're like, oh, it's okay. Oh, sorry, I can't make it. Yeah, no, it's okay. No, I'm a bit busy. Yeah. No, you have a good, yeah, bye. You sort of avoid being around folks, or you feel kind of down on yourself because you're in this real moment of sort of melancholy, or you're sort of picking the lint out of your belly button because you're just sort of thinking about whatever it is that you might be thinking about, whatever it is that's come up to say hello. And it makes you feel, in some ways it can make you feel that you're being unproductive or that you're not being cooperative in a group sense. And yeah, that can be really like sad, and you can feel, that you can start to feel down on yourself about it, is what I'm getting at. I reckon, Taurus rising, that you're kind of realizing your, like, the innate sort of power that you have that sort of grows from inside of you. There are skills that you've had since you were very young, and they've stayed with you, and it's almost as if they were sort of like blessed to you from birth. And in this perhaps seclusion, or it's maybe you don't feel so guilty about shutting yourself off when you need time alone. Maybe that's part of it too. You're sort of like, oh yeah, well, I used to feel that way, but now I just like live off grid, and now I don't, or now I don't. I know my limits, my emotional limits, and I know my energetic limits too. Perhaps there's something about what you give out that needs its time to sort of regenerate behind the scenes. Go with that feeling. And if you're not there yet, then it's coming, because the magician is here to say hello. And the magician is the one that teaches us that sort of as above, so below. You can only learn what the magician knows, not probably from him because he's a bit of a show pony, or try and sell you the 10-step program. It's actually by being alone and by sort of really dropping into the rhythm of your body and then the environment around you. And that's when you start to find the patterns and you start to link things up, and your faith can sort of like grow from that space because you've got the evidence for it. I think if we're going to think about you in your youth, look at that beautiful princess can you see? I love these cards because the pages are princesses. Stunning. And this is the Princess of Pentacles. She's the princess of the echoing hills. I mean, that's you, don't you reckon? There's something like there's something so nature, so healthy. Verdant is a word that I can think of. Like, you can grow things by doing that. And if that regulates you, if that allows for the melancholy to exist, wax and then wane, then go with that. I wonder sometimes if these horoscopes are sort of maybe too melancholy, and I hope that... Isn't that funny? Now I'm like, oh, I don't want to be the Eeyore. I'm going to not even say that. It's not worth it. They are what they are. If they ring true for you, then they're yours, babe, and you can take them and give them a cuddle. And if they're not, then that's fine too. But I'm not going to apologize for being an Eeyore, so why should you? Enjoy yourself with the goddess. Play your tunes. Let me know who your favorites are too. I'd love to know what kind of music gets you in the mood to commune with the spirits. I'd love to know that. Thank you for being here with me all year, Taurus Rising. I really appreciate it. If you're still here with me, put a crab in the comments, please. I would really appreciate that. And if I have not read your birth chart before, and you would like me to, I will happily draw you one up. They look like this from my perspective, and I'll read it to you via Zoom. You can organise your appointment over at umaruby.com to get that done. You can also tip me at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. You can throw some tip money in the jar over there. And you can also subscribe to the channel for 10 Australian dollars per month if you have the money to do so. If you don't, I completely understand. But thank you for all of your support and your love and your encouragement for me this year, Taurus Rising. I will never forget it. And I'll see you in the new year. I'll see you in 2024. And we'll start it from the top with the Capricorn new moon. But until then, worship your goddess on the 27th. Make it fun. Do whatever you like. I love you. Hello Virgo Rising, welcome to your horoscope for the last lunation of the year, the Cancer full moon. So this is happening on Wednesday the 27th of December at 11:33 a.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. I really enjoy that it's quite usual that there'll be some sort of Cancer moment, either at the end of the year or at the start of the following year. But the swell of emotions and that sort of the brightness of the full moon, but also like the sort of integrity of the Cancer full moon as well. Not to get sentimental or anything like that. It's always so lovely to be guided by that sincerity. What I know of the sign Cancer, apart from the astrological formality, we know that they're cardinal water, we know that they initiate, all of that kind of thing. From my very personal experience, the Cancer placements that I know all wear their heart on their absolute sleeve, and they all are so articulate with how they tell you that they love you. How they show love is really sincere and really bold and sort of blatant. I admire that very much, and I look to some of my Cancer placements for encouragement, and I look to my Cancer placements for a feeling of security, and hopefully I provide that for them too. I've got a lot to learn from the Cancer placements in my life. So as we sort of feel the reality of the end of this year, and there's no tying the bow on it and forgetting all about it. Like it's been a very difficult era. The last 4 years have been a nightmare. And that's only from my perspective, you know what I mean? Like, let's face it. Part of my frustration with my obsession, we'll say, with learning about astrology is the reality of the sort of finer marker points of the human condition are all highlighted with some sort of massive conflict. It's the most base, guttural, hateful manifestation of humanity that seems to just show up time and time and time and time again. I guess it's what we do with that reality, what we do with that knowledge. How do we move from this place? How do we kind of, like, are we the kind of, like, do we think about it in terms of, like, we can't get mad at a dog for eating cat poo. It's in their nature. You can't get mad at a human for blowing the shit out of each other. It's in their nature. We're evolved beings, and like, as much as it sucks to hear, and I say this with like really kind of gentle trepidation, I believe that there's a reason that we're conscious to this now as a group, that we're all sort of, and obviously pinging off and flinging off in all manner of different directions and being really psycho. There's a reason that we're kind of, there's no looking away from this now. To look at the astrology, and again, like, one of the sort of, I guess, traditions of it is sort of like, oh, well, we can see the similarity of this configuration. The last time that this happened, X marks the spot. There's another flippin' war. It's like, I'm exhausted by it. And I think that at this time, like when we're sort of around the holiday period as well, we're sort of like in our micro world, we kind of think about the idea of like our families and like the difficulties and the discrepancies, the infighting, the sparring that happen in very intimate communities too. And it can be exhausting. You're just sort of like, December, I loathe thee, for you remind me that people suck. Now that's a very deep hole to dig, but I'm climbing out of there because I want to drag it back to Cancer. I want to drag it back to the integrity that this sign has when dealing with our emotions. On your birth chart, Virgo rising, Cancer rules your 11th house, which is your sense of the human condition, the human species. And so that's probably why I started this reading going there, because I wouldn't hold it against you if you were like, and lights off, I'm going to be like my astrology and like my tarot and be a hermit forevermore. Bye everyone, you all suck. I'm going to go hang out with animals for the rest of my life. That's a temptation that I've been resisting, but it's something that I'm still thinking about. I get it, Virgo rising. But this moon is sort of like highlighting all of these feelings, all of these emotions, and it's kind of like out there, so out here. You can feel you can feel that your, whatever the moon brings up for you, whatever emotional configuration presents itself for you, whatever tears you start shedding, know that you're in company with that moon and it's protecting you. The 27th is sort of that sort of quiet space between the two sort of, it's the formalities of needing to be around family and that kind of stuff, and then moving into the new year. But the 27th is just sort of like, let's do nothing for the next 5 days. So you might have some nice contemplation time. You might have some time to really think about what means something to you. Separate yourself from the noise, which is growing in volume by the second. Separate yourself from the stark reality that human beings are compelled to fight one another, and be as open to receiving love and happy times with the family that you've picked for yourself. I've said this to a couple of other different people, but it might be worth saying it to you too, Virgo rising. There's a difference between the family we were born into and the family that we have decided is our own as well. And that's not just a queer philosophy. It obviously comes from the reality that a lot of queer folks were rejected or expelled from their bloodlines, their family units. And so the idea of chosen family is really prevalent for a lot of queer folks. It can also be a reality in your life as well. That's something that you do, like us. You can pick your own family. And that's not to, F them all off. I just can't help but be especially sort of, I'm a bit stunned at the moment. It's probably a good way to say it. I've been hanging out a lot with, you can probably hear one of them snoring. I've been hanging out a lot with animals at present. One of my jobs is I take care of people's pets when they need me to. And I've just fallen in love with a beautiful, beautiful dog that sincerely needs a lot of my attention in a way that would just melt your heart and make you burst into tears. And with no language. I mean, I chat away to her, but and I've actually told her a couple of secrets too. But she's shown me love wholeheartedly, very sincerely, without saying a word. And so sometimes when we are in Cancer season or Cancer world, we're not in Cancer season, but it's a full moon there, so it's like all eyes on Cancer. There is something about the physical reality of love, which you can probably attest to. The earth signs need their water signs because our emotions do affect our physical selves, and the health of our physical selves affects our emotions and vice versa. But you can feel with your body when somebody loves you sincerely, and you don't even need them to tell you. If they've got access to a tongue that can speak language, then great. They can tell you. Yeah, there's a big difference. I've just been thinking about that. Been thinking about sort of the obligations that we feel, and sort of, especially, I don't know, culturally it sort of depends where you are as well. But I am very proud that I know who I love and who loves me and who I can rely on and who can absolutely rely on me too. And that's trained into one another over a long period of time. And I really am so grateful for that. I'm going to get you some tarot. Chiron will station direct on the 27th as well. So if you recall, if you hark back to the last horoscope that I gave, and there was that talk about the grand potential for healing, and the focus on healing that we're entering into next year as well. That's another thing in my study of the astrology of next year, is it does feel overwhelming, this emphasis on healing the self in order to band together. But so it does, it's extra sensitivity, extra vulnerability here, Virgo rising. So just FYI. Right in the middle, the hermit sits in their hermitage, separate, isolated, alone from the obligations of society, the world around them, the community outdoors. The hermit isn't hiding. If the hermit's hiding, then it looks more like that. And we kind of can tell the difference too. Although I'm not so sure, because I feel that I'm doing both in tandem. There was a period where I was definitely hiding, then there was a period where I was definitely hermiting and learning and like enjoying my own self, my own company, and focusing on what it is that I wanted to focus on. And now it feels like there's a mixture of the two. There does feel like a bit of trepidation to re-engaging in my 11th house anyway. I'm speaking about this because we've got this moon in your 11th house. And we've also got this this real clear moment where you've just had to drop the chop and be like, stop it, you're being hateful. I'm not going to speak about this with you anymore. I'm actually extracting my intimacy from this and I'm moving beyond this. That's painful. It's brave of you. It's painful too. And so that might have led to this moment of like, fine, I'm just going to go back to the hermitage. Don't worry about it. I've got so much to learn about. I'll see you in a year. Can identify, can confirm that that is like really like natural. It's okay. I think that what we don't want to do is have you miss the offer. If this moon is bringing with it the emotional reaction, we might actually really need to allow that to occur rather than sort of stuffing it down or, don't worry about it, not talking about it. It might actually be this sort of, the 27th, this full moon, it might actually be a sort of like collective grief that you might be able to engage in. You might be able to hold the people that are in your physical company, the ones that have stayed. You remember that chosen family is very select. And as the years go by, it's smaller and smaller and smaller as well. But love is really the only thing that we will remember as we leave this life. It's the only thing that we'll remember. It's the only thing that our soul holds on to as well, is that feeling of love. So in your hermitage, maybe there's a collection of you, a collection of your little pointy hats on, the dancers in the hermitage. Share your anxieties and be honest with one another. You can actually, with this group, this sort of like cherry pick'ems little circle, the sacred ones, you can share your anxieties. You can let some of this out, because as soon as you get it out of here into the physical space that is safe and sacred, with the moon shining down on you, you can voice any concern, any opinion. You're so stoic, you've been holding it for everyone. Maybe this is where you're going to be going on this 27th of December, is into this private chamber. There'll be solutions that can be gleaned from this, and there'll be definitely hope to be re-established and to be held on to. But if we're going to really quite literally follow the astrology and be like, right, it's a full moon in Cancer in my 11th house, I am going to cry my eyes out about the state of affairs in the human condition, then that's what you'll do. And you'll do it with a group of people that admire you and appreciate your vulnerability. Just because you say it doesn't mean you're not going to knock down the castle by stating how you feel. I actually probably prefer that you do so as not to give yourself tummy problems. That's your reading, Virgo rising. The last one for the year. I say that as if it's a big deal. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for your support this year. I really appreciate it. I really, really do. It's been a trip, and I am looking forward to refining my offerings next year. I'm looking forward to getting into a healthy rhythm that's much more Virgo than it is Pisces. I'm a Pisces rising, so I have been hard to tether down sometimes. I must remember that I'm also Capricorn, so get to it. But I'd like to sort of give, there's a lot to say and my mind works in a certain way. I hope that it's valuable, this time that we spend together, and I hope that my study and my commitment to what goes on above there is valuable too, and I want to finesse it. So thank you for your support. If you're still here with me, put a crab in the comments. That would be awesome. If you'd like me to read your birth charts, I'll draw you one. They look like this, and I'll read it to you via Zoom, and I'll post it to you in the mail. So if you wanted to start your 2024 off with a bang, you know what I mean. Go to umaruby.com and book yourself a birth chart reading with me. You can tip me at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby, and there's also an option to subscribe to my channel at the same place, buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. It's for $10 Australian per month if you have the money and you can afford it. I would appreciate it, but if you can't, don't worry about it. It's fine. I get it. I'll see you in 2024. Great big love to you, and let's keep those candles burning for the human species. Yeah. Keep faith.